Welcome to the Homegrown Haven. In August of 2025, my husband Karl and I, with our 2-year-old son George and Cocker Spaniel Arnie, moved into our forever home in Herefordshire. A bungalow in need of refurbishment and a 1-acre garden in need of some serious TLC. There is so much work to do, but we are not alone. My parents, Martin and Cheryl, are sharing the adventure as 3 generations live under one roof, sharing love, laughter and hard work as we create a family home and a kitchen garden. A no-dig approach to growing organic fruit and veg. If this approach interests you, we would love you to like, subscribe and follow us as we make our ambitions a reality.
Well, welcome back to the Homegrown Haven. You haven't been here for a couple of weeks. That's because we've done a video on the home lodge, which is coming along beautifully. And then last week was the 6-month update. But here in the garden, despite the god-awful weather, things haven't stood still. I've been busy. So let's first of all have a look around at what I've done while you've been away. Well, the fruit cage is now fully planted up. So we've got raspberries, strawberries, blueberries. We just need one more blueberry plant at the end. We've bought one since you were last in the garden, and we have space for 6, so I've got one more to buy. We'll probably buy that next year now. So the fruit cage is now really good to go for the summer. Well, as the broad beans try to recover from the frost, I'm pleased to report that we are nearly there with this first block of 7 no-dig beds. We have this one portion down the bottom here, and we will be getting the compost tomorrow to finish that off. We will then start creating the same kinds of beds along here. It's a bit of a slope here, but I don't see that being an issue. And I have already blocked off the next phase there with the plastic from this first bed. So it's moving at a good pace. I'm very happy with our progress. I thought I was going to have to buy more corrugated roofing for this second bank of compost bays, but I've got some old wood and the offcuts from the home lodge, the felt offcuts that were in the skip. I went skip diving and they've managed to cover this roof. So all these butts now are full, if not frozen. So that's good progress. Pleased to see the rhubarb, which I transplanted from the allotment, is growing away great guns. Pleased with that. And I've showed you before, but obviously a previous homeowner has spent a lot of time on their hands and knees putting in dwarf daffodils. And we are about to reap the reward. It's going to be quite a display. Well, this was the small wood store. I have now put doors on. Those doors came off the summer house up by the bungalow. I don't particularly like the colour. I'm going to paint them a more earthy colour, but for the time being, blue it is. And that is now effectively a garage. So can you guess what's in there? Well, Cheryl and I enjoy our walking. Whenever I'm walking around the country, you see these beautiful homes with these long sweeping gravel drives and the homeowner going up and down on a sit-on mower. I've always thought that I would judge the success of a man's life by the fact that he has those 2 things, a gravel drive and a ride-on lawnmower. Well, we've got a gravel drive of sorts. It's taken a bit of a bashing in the last month, but I've now ticked the box of the second item. Right, shall we give Mummy a go then?
You don't want to?
How's Mummy going? Yeah, yeah. He's trying not to smile. When we came to view this property last year, this wood store was basically a garage for the owner's sit-on mower, and it's an acre of grass. Anyway, when we moved in, there was no mention of the ride-on mower, and it was long gone by the time we got here, obviously. So last summer, I kept the grass cut with my push mower. Now I have to say it took about 3 days because I didn't do it all in one go, and it was hard physical work. So since we got here, it has been my desire to have a ride-on mower. Well, my wife kindly bought me one, which is very generous. So I now have a ride-on mower to keep the grass under control on our acre of land. Obviously it's a bit less now because we've made a kitchen garden, but it's still a lot of grass. And of course, before we bought, we had a certain budget. That was the determining factor. And so I shopped around online. I also, having been a self-employed gardener for 16 years, have a fairly moderate experience of ride-on mowers and different manufacturers. So, and the one I was most comfortable with and was the easiest to use was a Mountfield. So when I did my research, I looked at Mountfields, and the local garden machinery shop in Hereford sells Mountfields. So we went along, Cheryl and I, and we had a look, spoke to the salesman about it all, and we agreed on the mower. It has a mulch facility. I won't be using that. I'll be collecting the grass clippings because they're an asset, they're a resource for the compost bays. So it's a Mountfield 1530H. The H, I think, stands for hydrostatic. In other words, you have a forward pedal and a reverse pedal. You don't have gears. So it was within budget. I like the mower. I've seen them before, and that's the one I decided on. Other mowers are available, but I am absolutely thrilled to finally, at 62, own my own ride-on mower. I'm going to have hours of pleasure on it this summer if it ever stops raining. Oh no! Oh, that's broken it. No sense, no feeling, George. Oh, George, what's that noise? What's coming? That's a tractor. There you go. Oh no. Right, this is for the benefit of Charlotte and Karl more than the viewers. But what we're in the process of doing now is these sweet peppers. They were sown on the 25th of January, and they're now of a good enough size that they can be pricked out, potted on, and we'll put them in the porch where it's reasonably warm and they can continue to grow on. That's about the limit of what you want in a tray that size. So we're going to prick them out. So very simply, the finger is the perfect tool for just making a hole in the pots for the roots and the stem. One thing to remember, if you can avoid it, is stay away from holding the stem. If you hold the stem of a new seedling, you're almost certainly going to damage the stem and it'll stunt its growth or kill it outright. So with my high-tech special pricking out tool, all you do is take it out gently from underneath, hold it by the seed leaves, and to get it into that hole I just need to, there, that's sufficient that the roots are still in some of the soil. Drop it in, get it down a little bit lower than it was in the seed tray, firm but not too firm, and that's it. It's as difficult as that. That is now potted on, and by the time that's grown into that pot, it'll be time and sufficiently big enough for it to go into its final resting place, which is in the greenhouse for the summer. So that's one done. Karl, you can do the rest. You're not holding the stem, are you?
Oh, testing you then. So that's enough on
Perfect.
that.
That's it. Job done.
That's easy.
Yeah, it is as simple as that,
Without holding the stem.
without holding the stem.
Will these carry on growing a bit more now than that they've been spaced out? That they've got a bit more room?
Yeah, they might do a little bit, but of course, not only you're taking parts out, you're taking the soil away, so there's still only so much room for the roots. So, perfect. That's those sweet peppers pricked out and potted on. We're going to keep these because we think the greenhouse is big enough to take more, so we'll do those at another date. But there you are. That's your first ever pricking out and potting on. Job done. Right, we're sowing 3 other crops today. That is spring onions, beetroot, and what's the third one? Radish. And we're going to sow these all multi-sown in these seed trays here. So there's 24 cells, and we're going to put about 4, well, with the spring onion I'm going to put more, about 6 to 8 seeds in each. So, you know, there'll be a couple of hundred spring onions in that, which will be more than enough for the 4 of us. And then in a month's time we'll do this exactly again, and we'll successional sow these crops right the way through the growing season. So this packet, which contains 175 seeds on average, they're all going to go in here. So once again, just create a small indentation with your fingers. This is not complicated. And then distribute, and these seeds are tiny. It's really hard to get the right consistent amount, but there's no need to hang up on it. Spring onions are thin and long, they'll all grow together, so I wouldn't worry too much if I'm getting 4 in one and 8 in another. That's it, that's the whole packet gone in, and then very simply, using my fingers lightly, attempt to cover over very, very thinly those multi-sown seeds. And then we'll fill this tray from beneath with water. They'll be watered from beneath. I'll go on a warm windowsill, and that's it. In about between a week and 2 weeks, these will start to show. And when they're big enough, about 4 to 6 inches high, they'll go out into the bed in the kitchen garden. Right, job done. All I've got to do now is leave the radish and the beetroot for Karl. So just we need to put a label in, job done. Yeah, because beetroot seeds are actually, each individual one is a cluster of multiple seeds. So 3 or 4 is more than enough. And once they germinate and they start to bulk the roots, they simply grow apart. So this is the most efficient way of growing these seeds that can be multiple sown.
So if I go for 3?
Yeah, perfect. And of course, because they're much bigger seeds, you can be quite accurate with this.
Yeah. If I don't throw them.
If you don't throw them away.
Doesn't help.
So again, I'll leave Karl to sow the radish and the beetroot, and we'll come back to you when it's done. So it's the 15th of February. With what we've done there, Karl, what have we sown so far?
We've got, well, we've already got California peppers. What are they? California wonder peppers. They were sown a while ago on here, and then we've just transplanted them into bigger pots individually. Then we've got, have a look, spring onions, and then we've got the Bultardi beetroot, and what's this one called? Is it the Saxa radish as well?
Yeah.
Multi-sown, so
okay.
Fingers crossed we get a good crop.
And what have we got in the greenhouse?
Onions, sweet peppers, broad beans,
garlic
coming out of our ears.
Yeah. That has to be healthy.
Yeah. What else have we got?
Peas.
Mentioned broad beans.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.